Chapter 5, Roommate. Maybe the supervisor didn't want the timid staff member on the logistics team to instill some negative thoughts into Su Cheng, and scare him off from taking the night shift, so he came over and patted on Su Cheng's shoulder. "Hey buddy, you don't have to take the day shift anymore. Just come over at 9:30 tonight and take the shift until 8 AM tomorrow." Su Cheng stood up and nodded. The supervisor appreciated and respected those that weren't afraid of trouble, and he said to Su Cheng with a warm and caring voice, "If there's trouble, then we just need to tackle them head on, otherwise, why bother being a police officer, right? Our country's society is run by the law, so who can be higher than the law? With the law backing us up, if someone looks for trouble, just arrest them and let them talk to the law." Su Cheng nodded. "All right, I will come back in the evening." The supervisor smiled and nodded. Now, Su Cheng no longer had anything to do during the day. To be honest, he was happy about that, because he could use this time to exercise and hopefully recover faster. If it was a day shift, he might not have time for training anymore. He went back to his condo, got out of the elevator on the top floor, and saw a back view killer level woman. A so-called back view killer is when the back image of a lady's beautiful body was enough to grab onto your heart, and make you think that she was at least a 7 out of 10. Of course, there were also back view killer level women that could turn around and make your eyes bleed, instead of making your mouth drool. Perhaps hearing the elevator opening, the woman with a slim back view who was waiting in the hall with her luggage turned around. That gorgeous face of hers could get a 9 out of 10. The woman wasn't eager to talk, but seeing Su Cheng pull out his keys and about to open the door, she spoke in astonishment, "You are the new resident that's moving into this floor, right?" Su Cheng looked at this woman with an odd expression. Jean shorts to better accentuate her long, slim, and snow-white legs, plus the slightly slender and loose shirt, the outfit complemented her looks very well. She looked like the soft type of little girl that enjoyed staying home. "That's me," he replied. Right after he finished, this soft-looking pretty girl immediately came up, grabbed onto Su Cheng's wrist. With a fast over-the-shoulder throw, Su Cheng, who was completely unguarded, was dropped onto the floor. Holy fuck! He was indeed very surprised. He didn't expect a vulnerable-looking woman could throw a 6'3" man like him over her shoulder. Su Cheng decided to just simply lay on the ground until he figured out what's going on. The technique used by this woman just now was definitely a melee combat technique used by the police or army. It seemed like this woman shared the same profession as him. The woman bent down and said while gritting her teeth, "I was having a good time staying here until you came. Do you think you are all high and almighty and can do whatever you want just because you have money? Don't you know that it's really tough to find a place to live right now in Shangcheng? There should be a first come first serve order in everything. If anyone's going to move, it's going to be you. Otherwise, I will be standing here by the door every day. If you have the guts to move in peace, I will take care of you once every time I see you. You got it." Su Cheng smiled and shook his head. "What are you smiling about?" the woman asked in disdain. Su Cheng suddenly forced strength into his 2 feet, springing himself up a couple inches before her and throwing her over his shoulder. Since she was his peer, he decided to return her the favor. The woman wanted to resist when she felt her wrist being grabbed, but she suddenly realized that Su Cheng's strength and technique was a lot stronger than her. In shock, she found herself losing balance and falling to the ground. Su Cheng did control his power a bit, otherwise the woman would have gotten smashed into the floor like what the Hulk did to Loki. Su Cheng patted the dirt off of his clothes and replied, "If you want to beat me up every time you see me, I don't mind returning the favor." Then, he pushed open the door and went in. Just when he was about to close the door, the woman shoved her whole arm between the door trying to stop him from closing it. "Are you still a man? You dare to hit a woman?" Su Cheng thought the woman would pull back her arm to avoid being clipped by the door, so he continued to close it. The door caught the woman's arm, and she screamed in shock. But she just didn't pull her arm out, and Su Cheng couldn't close the door. "I'm only responsible for moving in, not responsible for anything related to you. If you have something to say, then talk to the management company," Su Cheng said. But, the woman was anxious. "It's really too difficult to find a place in Shangcheng. I was finally able to find a place here and have already lived here for a month, how can I move again right away? Isn't this a bit too cruel? If I'm wrong, the property management company paid you double the monthly rent in compensation? It's still not enough." Su Cheng replied. I don't want the compensation, just don't make me move. It's really not easy to find a place to live right now, and this place is also very close to where I work. Besides, at least don't give me such a short notice. I mean, what is wrong with you? There are 4 units on the highest floor, and you wanted to vacant all 4 and connect the units? Are you going to need 10,000 square feet just for yourself? Isn't that a bit too lonely? How about this, you just give me 1 room, and I will pay you the market price, the woman said. Not interested, I don't need money, Su Cheng replied. The woman's eyes became wide open. Hey! Are you still a man or not? Other men would spare no means just to initiate a conversation with me, and you are turning down the opportunity to room with me? It's your fortune, all right? If it was someone else, they would have invited me in without charging a single cent. Then you can go to someone else, Su Cheng said and prepared to slam the door shut. Perhaps sensing the danger and seeing his emotionless face, the woman got scared this time and pulled back her arm. After Su Cheng shut the door, the woman outside said with anger, "Is it easy for a little girl to be far from home by herself? I was just assigned to Shangchen's criminal police department, I'm not familiar with the city or have any friends, and now I have to deal with some serious cases these days. How can I squeeze out the time to find a place?" After hearing that she was also recently assigned to Shangcheng, he stopped his footsteps, turned around, opened the door for her and asked, "Show me your documents." The woman stood up and habitually took out her ID and said, "I'm not lying." Su Cheng sighed, and then he said to her, "You don't know me, yet you dare to live under the same roof as me? With a strange dude living so close to you, are you not scared?" The woman was not stupid too. She faintly smiled, "That's why I showed you my police ID. Even if you are stupid, you wouldn't mess around with a criminal police officer, right? Besides, we are just sharing an entire floor, not a single room. I'm really out of choices here, but I will find a place once I solve the cases on my hand. Come in." Su Cheng pulled open the door and walked away. The woman was overjoyed, and she snorted, "Did you finally admit defeat before my beautiful face?" Su Cheng saw that she came in but didn't close the door, so he laughed and replied, "Are you scared?" "Who is scared?" the women sneered. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ranjing." "What's yours?" "Su Cheng," he replied as he looked at her with a half-smile. "If you are not scared, why not close the door?" As a criminal police officer, she felt a bit embarrassed and awkward, seeing how her little scheme was directly seen through by the guy before her. She raised and straightened her leg backwards and immediately shut the door. Then, she looked at him with mockery and said, "So what? I closed it now." Su Cheng announced, "You can move in, and you can pick a room after me. You don't need to pay rent, you just have to do the cleaning after you get home from work." Su Cheng was not lazy, he just didn't want to take time out of training to do chores.